Welcome to everyone. I know that we are just in time, so we'll let a few minutes pass to have people joining, grab a seat, grab a cup of coffee, find a nice place near the heater, since it's pretty cold here in EMEA. So I'm seeing already some names from IGEL joining, but also customers. So warm welcome to all of you, also some insiders. Good to have you here. Today we have a special session, but I will cover that in a second in the agenda. But I would like to welcome Lino Roithner from the IGEL EMEA support team, senior director. So pretty new in IGEL again, if I remember right. You left IGEL for a couple of years, but you are now back since 2020, correct?
December 2020.
Yeah, great. Warm welcome, Lino. It's your first meetup, right?
Yeah, right. And thank you for having me, Sebastian.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure. And usually we are not biting, we are not hurting anyone. So just have fun, speak as often as you like. Just remember that we are recording the session. So if you want to give some crispy insights, just give me a hint. I would be happy to cut them out from the recording then.
Okay.
Okay, I would say let's wait a couple of seconds more and then we can start into the session. So I prepared a few slides. Like always, I'm doing a short introduction, and as soon as my introduction is done, I will hand it over to Lino. I will shut up myself, turn off my webcam until the moment where Lino needs me, and then we will go straight forward into the next part, but let's cover the agenda right now. So, warm welcome to the Agile Community January 2023 meetup, the first meetup of the new year. We promised that we will bring the meetups back again on a monthly basis that we are doing at the moment. Today we are here to speak about the day in the life of an Agile support engineer, and after that, new Agile features you might have missed. For those of you who wanted to join a tutorial how to build your own house tree, it's the wrong session you just joined. So rejoin another day. What we have blocked for the next month is in March 2 times. The reason is quite easy to explain. In February we have the Agile Disrupt, which is taking a lot of time, but also a lot of preparation and post-event work. So I will try to do one on the 23rd of February, but I can't promise it right now. So I prefer to keep aligned on what I can promise. And the 2nd of March will be the next one. So we have a great session together with our admin services guys, where Jason McCallum, head of admin services in the US, will show their portfolio, what admin services is delivering to the market and to our customers. But at the same time, Randall, who is a former customer of us and also still an Agile community member, who will show some great automatism that he wrote in Shell and Bash to make the Agile operating system looking like it would be an AI. Then we have a great tech talk on this 23rd of March together with most of our Agile community members. I just have to thought about who are there, but we have insiders and standard members, so to say, and we'll have a discussion about should we move to the cloud. It will be an open discussion, so we will have 10, maybe 20 people from different countries and continents speaking about, hey, what is happening if you want to move to the cloud? Is it better to stay on-prem? Is on-prem already dead, or are there maybe alternatives? So that would be a really interesting session, so looking forward to that one. In case you didn't knew it, we have a webpage which is called agilecommunity.com/events, and there I will share the Zoom links. I just mentioned it at the beginning, we have a Disrupt event happening, so I don't expect you to never heard about that, but in case you never, we have a Disrupt event happening on February, and here's a link and the QR code where you can join. You will get a discount if you do choose that code. And obviously we'll share on the Disrupt event not only marketing and sales information for you guys, not at all. We'll share crispy information about OS 12, UMS 12, workshops, and we'll stay extremely technical. Then we will go over to the what's new. So we have a couple of new features that we installed in our Slack client. We have polls, so a survey tool which is installed in the Agile community since a couple of days. So you can just enter /poly in most of the channels, but I would prefer to keep it in Agile community chit chat to have a survey starting to ask a question, getting feedback and so on. Then, since we are asking, and also you guys, question if someone is having an issue, hey, which framework are you using, which OMS version are you using? I created a few automatisms, so as soon as you put a question mark, it will automatically add an addition to the actual thread, checking the informations. Same for ticket opening. If you have the feeling that the question cannot be solved inside of the community, hey, you can just put a double exclamation mark and it will ask the person to open a ticket. And on specific questions like on ICG, if a connection error is happening, it will also happen that we ask the standard question 10 times, and that's the reason why you can just take the clock symbol and it will add any kind of questions to that route. Last one, that's not an easy one, but we have also bugs and we have communication that I'm taking over to our product management. And to get that tracked, we have two new emoticons, which is P for parking and B for, I can't remember it, but just take that one and it will automatically create a report for me so I can follow up the tasks and ask the right question to product management. Because until now it was mostly Slackbot asking me to do something on a specific date. Then, a lot of things to share today. We have the wallpaper contest. So if you didn't knew it, we have a wallpaper contest started last week where you as an Agile community member are able to upload a wallpaper of your choice. I mean, not one gathered on Google, but really one created by yourself and upload it to the link that I'm sharing here on the screen together with a QR code. And Disrupt will review the different wallpaper and the winner of the wallpaper contest will be integrated in iGELOS 12. So your own wallpaper that you created will be shared on every iGELOS update and OSC. And you will also have your name mentioned in the release notes. So a really cool wallpaper contest. Looking forward to get your feedback on that. Just a short summary. I don't go through everyone, just saying, hey, we have a couple of resources that we have on our Agile community website and on subdomains. Most important ones are the videos. If you couldn't join the session today, I will share the recording there, as well as if you're not an Agile community member until now, please join us on join.agilecommunity.com. Last slide of myself before shutting myself down. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A section. The chat is deactivated, yeah, because I don't know, Zoom make that as a default setting since a couple of days. I will reactivate the chat in a second. But if you have questions, please take the Q&A section and I will be happy to ask them afterwards. So I'm stopping sharing right now, muting myself and hand it over to our very own Lino Roithner.
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian. And yeah, first of all, thank you, community. Thank you, Sebastian, for having me. I will start sharing my screen and would be good, Sebastian, when you can tell me that you can see my screen.
Yep, it's there. It's the presentation mode, so it's looking great.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Thank you so much. Yeah. First of all, a small introduction for myself. My name is Lino Roithner, Senior Director of the Customer Support EMEA. As Sebastian already mentioned, back to 2014-15, I was a systems engineer in the pre-sales team and worked for IGEL. I made a small round through Germany on other companies and came back in December 2020 to rejoin IGEL as a TRM. And from September 2022, I'm now leading the customer support in EMEA, and yeah, quite happy to be here today. And when you have questions about my person, please feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. I'm quite happy to have a discussion there with you as well. So I would like to share some infos about the support itself today. When we're talking about the IGEL support, it is not the case that we are only sitting in Germany. We are completely, like, yeah, I would say around the globe with North America, UK and Ireland, and Germany. So in UK and Ireland, we have a great team sitting in Reading. And in Germany, it is Bremen and Augsburg, where the most of our customer engineers who are working for our support are sitting. North America is very, I would say, in different locations. It is quite a big country. So yeah, but we can have the possibility to have all our customers covered in this time frame from those locations. And for sure, when it's a critical support issue, there's for some of our offers 24/7 offer as well. So yeah, quite happy to have these places with our customer engineers placed. The support itself, I think it is clear from some of the normal supports and from supports of other organizations, it should be clear that we have also in first and second and third level support. But for us at IGEL, it is very important that with our support, we have also the contact to different, to different departments and to different resolver groups. So whenever customers or whenever our partners have a problem open and this problem is coming to us as a case, we are looking, okay, what is this case about? How can we help our customers? How can we help to find a solution? And it might be that it is not always a break and fix. It might be that there is sales assistance needed, or on this customer already advanced services has an engagement open, what means that we can perhaps have an exchange with the advanced services TRM or solutions architect to have a better understanding about the environment of the customer. When we're talking about a bug, for sure, we will find a way to bring this bug as fast as possible to our development to get it fixed for everyone who's working with our software. Sometimes there are very, very good ideas, and there are some features in the world which are addressed through our support as well. And those ideas we will face to our product management and get their opinion on this as well, and can place it there, and we'll give our customers a feedback on this. So I would say with our support, it is not only break and fix, whatever, when there's the situation that you are bringing a topic to our support, we will try to give this topic to the right resolver groups or right departments who can give you more information about it, and we will deliver it for you. As I mentioned, we have a support offer, and I think it is very important to make it clear when we're talking about 24/7 coverage of our support, that this is not for our select support. This is something what you can buy from us, where you can have different levels of support. For example, when we're talking about the select support, it is the situation that we are having a complete web-based support. We will give you all informations per mail. We will ask you all questions and per mail. And whenever you give us the information, it will be handled all the time web-based. And for the response time, it is up to 3 business days. And that is something non-critical and for critical responses. When we're now taking a look to our Priority and Priority Plus offer, you're seeing that the phone support and the support via remote access, these are 2 topics which are very helpful, not only for you, for us as well, because we can much better understand your problem. We can better support you. We will save a lot of time. And for sure, we have a faster response time on that as well. So there are some differences about the right support levels. And yeah, it is something where we have the possibility with you together work more closely when we're talking about Priority or Priority Plus. So just to make it simple, small summary about the situation when we're talking about priority. It is the situation we can have your topic, your break and fix thing when it is needed, bring it faster to the senior level support. We can collect your information very much faster. We have a more rapid response time for your issues, for critical issues. Phone support, as I mentioned, and remote assistance is something which helps us all. And for the additional name context, this is something when we are looking on our support customer tool, you can have as much as administrators, as I mentioned before, like 10, 15, or 2 in your support offer. And what we all want to have is the highest customer satisfaction rating. So this is just a small summary on this. Next thing is, I think, for our customers, partners, it is good to understand when we're talking about a case, which way is this case going? And I want to talk to you or tell you more about how we will handle such cases when we're talking about priority or priority plus support. And for example, with a bug. And it will be always the situation that when you create the case in our support portal, it will be reviewed from our first level. The first level is looking what information did you deliver, what information is not delivered, because might that you don't know in the situation where you created the case, might that you forgot it, or might that we are not asking for the right information, which the first level sees because of your problem you have. So the first level is bringing all informations together and dispatching it to the right people in the second level, when it is not solved from the first level. So first of all, we're trying to solve cases as fast as possible, but we are now talking about the way from a case which has a bug, which will need to go to development. The second level is analyzing it deeper and tries to get first possibilities to solve this, tries to recreate the problem. And when the second level sees, okay, this is a bug, or I can reproduce the problem, but there's no solution from this level, he or she will direct it to the third level. The third level, these are our escalation engineers, and our escalations engineers are quite good in deep diving into problems. They have very much a technical understanding about how deep this problem you have is in our system. And we're talking about a bug, so it is something which needs to be solved. And the escalation engineer will be from this time your, I would say, single point of contact regarding this problem. So he or she will take care bringing this case to the right department, and for a bug, it is our development. And when we're talking about the development, this is one of our resolver groups. We have more resolver groups, and so the third level knows, okay, who's the right one I can attach this case to. And the third level escalation engineer will hold up the communication with you and keep you posted on every single action we have from development, or when we have a first try, like a technical preview where this problem should be solved. Then our escalation engineer will bring this information to you. Before that, he will test it for sure. And when you're happy with it and give us the feedback, yes, now it is working, we are working on a private build for you. Or when it's a bug which is this major, for sure it will go directly in one of our rolling releases and be communicated with all customers as break and fix. So I think this shows us quite good how we bring you to a solution when you have a case open on our end. One thing, because I am here at the community meetup, I would bring in is how community and support or customer success are at the moment. And it seems like there's a wall. I think there shouldn't be a wall for us. And we want to bring, and Sébastien, I think you can add there something as well. We want to bring us more together. We want to benefit from all of us in both ways, and to face a software which will help you, which will help us, and which we develop together.
That's absolutely true. I mean, it took all my PowerPoint skills to make that move and making things disappearing. No, just kidding. But
It looks awesome.
Thank you very much. I tried to show that yes, we were on island for a couple of years, and we were a little bit decapsulated from the rest of IGEL from time to time, and we're more focused on the market. But since a couple of months now, we are back in the department. We are back in an organization where we are working closely together with event services, with customer retention, with licensing. But yes, obviously also with support, and that's where also the idea came from to invite Lino today to speak about the support, what is changing behind the scenes, and which kind of processes you as a customer or partner are maybe not seeing because you're just interacting with us if you have an issue. And that's where I'm really happy to have Lino showing also his view on the cooperation. I would say the cooperation is restarting from scratch, should I say it this way? Not in a mean way, but in a good way. We are evaluating which kind of processes we have, which kind of data we are exchanging. And that's where Lino and I started in August or September last year to build new ideas. And if you think back at the automatism that I showed at the beginning with the double exclamation mark, where we are asking you to open a ticket, it's not only to make our lives easier and not having to type it again to ask you to open a ticket. No, behind the scenes, it's also a report which is created based off that. So we know how many requests we had to bring to support because we were not able to solve them in the Agile community, or maybe because they were too important or too productive environment related that we said, okay, it might be better to redirect that to support. And yeah, obviously we are not only working for love and sunshine, we're also working for money, and we have to quantify how much work we are delivering also to support and see what we can bring back also, because we need feedback from support. We need also the stomach feeling that support has in a specific ticket. And that's where we are working closely together with Lino. We have a weekly call on Agile Community meets support, or support meets Agile Community, and we are exchanging such kind of informations. As well as the report, which will be then, it's created since a couple of days now, but it will be shared then internally at end of every month compared to the previous period. And so we can understand where we are, which kind of connections we have, and after that, check if we might enhance that level and getting maybe more feedback and so on and so on. So we are working also on integrating the support in a different way in the Agile community. So I just want to mention one thing. You might have seen a user which is called Agile Tech Exchange in the Agile community, and I mentioned it briefly already in another meetup. It's not a secret project, so to say, but we have to be extremely cautious about how the Agile support colleagues are working at the community, because they have all the rules that we have. And that's the reason why we have I would not call it anonymous, but a little bit anonymized user, which is Agile Tech Exchange, where different users can log in and help you, because the main goal is not to have Agile support just being there and spying, so to say. No, not at all. We really want to have their view in the Agile community, want to have their solution. And also what I'm not seeing in the Agile community, they might see it in the ticketing system to other customers and getting that feedback back in the Agile community. So small steps by small step, but we are really getting better from day to day. I'm really thankful for Lino and also the North American support team like Josh or Chris for being there and helping on a daily basis, but also helping us to bring the community back on track on the company perspective. Something to add, Lino?
Totally agree, Sebastian. I think at the end of the day, it should be not that only we are benefiting of information from the community. It should be a complete circle from information sharing and working together, right?
I would call it circle of life, like in the Lions King.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Let me unshare my screen and let us have a look in some questions, I would say, if there are words.
That's a moment, guys, where you should be able to ask questions in the Q&A. I already gathered a few in prior, so in case no one is asking a question, I would ask a question in general. Milan, you're asking a question in chat. I guess I'm able to ask it officially. Are different revenue streams, professional services, TRM, priority support, licensing, training? Is there a question that you would like to ask especially? If so, just feel free to repost it or rephrase it. I'm happy to ask. In the meantime, I would then ask just a dumb question because I got it a couple of times in the Azure community, and I'll just read it. What is the proper way to escalate an issue? So like an example, case closed too early or the solution is not helping. What can I do to get more help, so to say?
Yeah, I think there are multiple ways to escalate something. We have always our sales reps. So when you think that there's a case which was not handled in the way it should have been, let your sales know. I am in a very, very close contact with sales. So whenever there is an issue and sales can tell it to me directly, we will review it. We will come back to you. We will find a solution to make you happy. So sometimes there are issues which we can't solve. That might be the situation, but at least then we will have a chat and talk about it because all escalations which are coming to my desk are very important to me. And so this is one way. For sure, you can do it in the case itself that you're asking for an escalation because you don't feel the way that your topic is placed right, or it might be that there is a huge misunderstanding. So then please write it to the case as well, and we will find a way to bring it to a solution or to a better understanding. And I think, Sébastien, when there's a case which is escalated and you're talking about the community in it, you mentioned it right, we have a weekly meeting, and when you see something which is from a case, and there's an escalation, I will directly know it in the next meeting with you. So there are multiple ways to escalate a case. Yeah.
That's great. There's a question from John Tweedy in the chat. Not sure if we would be able to answer that directly online, so I will just give Lino the chance to read it, and then we'll check if we would come back to you afterwards, John, or if Lino wants to answer that lively. Give you a second.
Yeah, so I wrote that question. It is a case which is in our system, and I do not have the possibility to review this case as well. But I would say let's review it afterwards, and I can get in touch with you, John. Yeah. Then let's have a chat about it because I have no possibilities to look directly now in our system and give you a proper answer of this, because this is very related to you and to our support. So I'm quite happy to help there and give a better understanding to you.
John Tweedy, if you wouldn't mind to send me the case number as direct message to Slack, I will forward it then to Lino. Thank you very much. Then it's a question that I got from an old customer that I have, and a German customer. And from the time where I was a pre-sales engineer, I know that we made some stuff possible. So the question is pre-sales also doing support? They did in former times.
Yeah, I know they did because I was part of the organization as well. And yeah, the good old days, I would say it was always happy. True. That we can help in every situation. But as we are growing and as the amount of customers we have is growing as well, it is for us very important that our pre-sales colleagues are taking care pre-sales. And when after sales is, or when the situation that you're now an after sales customer, it is very important for us to track your problems, to track your incidents you have with our software. Because at the end, when you raise a case on our end, we have documented and we have a better possibility to track this and bring it into a better software. And yeah, so it is quite differentiating between pre-sales and our support. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if I'm right, your first business travel was together with me to a German pharma company, right? Where we had an issue with the UMD solution where you could put 4 thin clients to that times together over a gigabit network and had 8 displays over 4 devices, which doesn't make sense at all nowadays. But if I'm right, it was our first common business travel.
Yeah, it was.
That was pre-sales
very
time.
good travel. Yeah.
That was fun, but also some interesting discussions. Okay, thank you very much. Just checking the chat now. Oh, good. So I will take over the next one. Is it true that we can't call you anymore? Because also I have to tell from the history, it's a long time ago when I was a customer of IGEL. And to that time, you would not believe it, but mostly Windows devices, but now end of the story. We also called Bremen because we had a direct number. So we called some people from the support directly, sometimes also over the hotline. And now they are changed this behavior a couple of years. No, yeah, year to months maybe. So what is your view on that?
Yeah, so first of all, I think whenever you want to call IGEL, you can. When it's support related, it is a little bit different because we have, as I mentioned, 3 levels of support. And when you're a priority or a priority plus customer, you can call us always and or jump on a call with our customer engineering team, or we will, when you have a case open and we will think that this case is much better to have a chat about on the phone, we will ask for an appointment with you as well. So it depends on your level of support you have at the moment, right?
Yeah, that's great. Let me grab a question because it's related to the Agile community. And I mean, we already covered it partially in the beginning and a couple of minutes ago, but still, is support part of the Agile community?
At the moment, I would say no. It is not, but you mentioned it right. There are the first steps working together. There is this project ongoing internally where we say that not only support will be part of our community or working together with community. I think I would say we are doing the right steps in the right direction to make it happen, to benefit on both sides out of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely true. I would just add, I mean, from a pure emotional perspective, you have also to imagine that people working in support have definitely different ways of working as we had in pre-sales, also already in former times. So it's always even more differing if you compare that to the Agile community. So the main goal is we don't want to force someone to be part of the Agile community because we think that it should come from the bottom of the heart or whatever, or personal feeling, but it should be so someone feels obliged to do so. So we are trying to keep that mindset up and building some tools, building some processes to make the people from support also feeling good in the Agile community, but also having the feeling that because we have brains there. I mean, there's just masterminds who could solve an issue in a second that we are struggling with for days sometimes. So we know that, but at the same time, we always have to remember that what I'm doing in the Agile community right now it's my daily job. In former times when I was pre-sales, it was COVID, so there was a huge change. So we can't expect that from anyone else, but it's growing, and we plant a seed a couple of months now with Lino, and I mean the North American team like Josh or Chris were already there for a long time. So we're not speaking about Dutch guys because they're just amazing, but we have to bring in the rest of the team, and it's a huge team, and we don't expect anyone to join or everyone to join, but yeah, give us a little bit of time. It will happen, I promise. Lino, I don't want to be impolite, but I would say 5 minutes after Hard the Hour, I would close your part and maybe take over the new feature part of the presentation. Feel free to stay with us, chat with us if you like.
I will do.
But you're also absolutely free to leave if you have another appointment. I'm appreciating your help and your presence today.
As I mentioned, thanks for having me, Sebastian. Thanks for having me, community.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. So let's start in the new features that I prepared for today. I must be honest, some of them are for sure well known for most of you, but I have seen the last month that people were asking, hey, how can I disable LAN Ethernet if Wi-Fi is connected, or vice versa? And still, I mean, this feature was announced, I don't know how many times, but yeah, I know that not everyone is reading the release notes or maybe not updating the firmware regularly. So I tried to put a couple of features together that you might have missed and who might make sense to you. So even if the first ones are maybe known for you, please stay until the end because there are some nuggets. So please stay there. So I will make the start with Conky. I know that, especially if I look at Leon and other colleagues in the attendee list, you're knowing Conky for a long time. You use it sometimes as a custom partition in prior, or you use some notifiers and messages script that we delivered in the Agile community. You can still use them. So for an on-demand showing if IP address, host name, or whatever, they will still work. But we integrated a new feature, which is a tool which is Conky, which we never wrote by ourselves, which we integrated because it was already available on the market. It's a kind of BG info, so background info, as you might know from the Windows world, for Linux. So you can show metrics from your device on your endpoint without having the need to start something. The configuration is pretty easy. You just have to go to Accessories, Conky System Monitor, put it on desktop if you like to test it, or put it on auto start and make your configuration. Do you want an opacity, so a transparency effect? Yes or no? Do you want some decorations? And in a standard way, as I just showed it before, that's a configuration. I didn't change anything else. So what you are seeing there is the configuration that I'm showing on the screen. At the same time, you're also able to add additional informations or replace the whole stack of information that you're delivering by default by adding a custom text. So you can do an execution, do a Linux command line command that you would like to use, like getting the actual interface IP address, or maybe getting the actual username of an ADP session, whatever you like. As soon as you can start in the command line, there is 99% chance that you can use it in a Conky interface. And that ends up in just showing one IP address. I will not go through every example, just showing that's one approach, and then you can fulfill it with other points. Wes Dobry wrote an extremely great document in the Agile community, search for Wes and Conky. Leon also wrote great stuff. Milan is also over there and is creating magic Linux commands. So just have an eye on it. It would definitely help you, because if a user is calling the support and saying, hey, my device is not working anymore for whatever reason, one of the first questions you might ask is hostname, IP address, or whatever. Use Conky, because you don't have to start anything. Here we go. Then next thing is custom attributes. In former times, we use the structure tag to write data back from the endpoint to the UMS, because there was just one tag, one field where we could write from the device to the UMS. So we misuse the structure tag, which has originally another proposed with the DHCP option 226, to write data in it. Like in my case, checking the download speed of an endpoint. But you don't need that anymore, because we have integrated a specific tool, which is a tool set, which is called custom attributes. So I'm taking over an example that we wrote for Leon to that time and for another customer, which I don't have in mind anymore, who wanted to get the last ADP user, and the other customer wanted to get a count of the displays locally. What is happening first? You have to create in your UMS, under UMS administration, device attributes, a device attribute. You can call it however you like. It's just a name that you will use then in a script to write data back. Or if you want to use it in a view, choose a name which is easy to understand if you want to get a report out of it. In my case, I created 3 of them. Last ADP user, monitor count, and last VM user. All type string. And that's how it looks like. If you create a new one, you have a name, Then you have an identifier that you have to generate. And if you want to take a list, you can also have a list as a pull-down menu for the UMS, but for our proposal, it makes a lot of sense. So I kept type string, and the override rule is the device should always have the right to override what is happening in the UMS, because sometimes your service desk user might have typed in something and it should get overridden by the device, because in my case, I want to get feedback from the endpoint to the UMS. And that's where you're using 3 commands, basically. You're using the RM agent minus device attributes minus enum, which lists all the available device attributes that the UMS sent over to the device. If nothing shows up there, just reboot the device or send your settings to the endpoint, then it will be shown. Then you use the device attribute set command to say, okay, please write into that last ADP user field whatever you like. In my case, I took over a command which is get. Get is a command in IGEL for reading a value from registry. The registry path is adp.login.username. So I'm getting the last ADP username which was used on the ADP client. And between brackets and the dollar sign mean that they can be used as a whole, that the result of that command is written back completely, not the command itself. And then the last one is the sync command, which would write back now directly and sync the local data back to the UMS. As soon as you did that, you are done. You should then see the data in your UMS in your major asset inventory from your endpoint. I'm just sharing the comment. You don't have to write it down. I will send the recording afterwards. But in that case, I'm using the same kind of comment to get how many monitors, how many displays are connected to the endpoint. It sounds absolutely easy, but it isn't. Because if you want to create a view, or if you want to assign profiles for devices who have 4 displays connected, like an example, you can't use it at the moment. So I had to create something around it, and that's the reason why I took an external command, which is executed in the root context. Then I'm counting how many connected devices I'm getting, and I'm writing then the number back to UMS. If you want to get the last ADP user, that's a command. And if you want to get the last VMware Horizon user, that's a way how to write it back. I must admit, I'm not sure if it also applies on AVT. I didn't have the time to check it today, but should work. Now, default printer. Especially in work from home and roaming users, you were maybe confronted to users who had a laptop with a USB printer. And if you connect it to the IGEL, even if you configured your printers in prior, it was not automatically taken over as the default printer if you already created a network printer, like an example in the first place. Just a small hint. The default printer cannot be set by using this registry path, which makes the connected printer default. So the last one that you connected, like USB, would be the default printer. And that's just a small piece of usability. But it helps so much because the user usually don't have access to the IGEL setup, neither to the profiles who are setting the COPS printer settings. So that's a huge improvement, even if a little bit hidden. Next one, you might know the buddy update procedure. If not, I will just explain it in a couple of words. You're usually sending out an update to 10 IGEL devices. So you are assigning your firmware update profile and then sending a comment, update now or update on reboot. In the worst case, 10 devices will download to the same time the same amount of data of update data from your UMS server, which is great if you just have 10, but if you want to do that for 100 or whatever, and especially if you have a site location where you have a site office, a branch office, where you have these 10 devices, you don't want to waste your bandwidth. So you update one device, and all the other 9 devices will take over the update from that one device, and not from the UMS anymore. And that's where the buddy update makes sense. Now, we have 2 issues, or let's say 2 requirements we had to fulfill. First of all, the body update, as soon as it gets targeted by a body slave, is out of performance. So if you get 1 device downloading from it, it's fine. But if you get 6 or 10, the device gets mostly unusable, depending on CPU and RAM. So what you would like to do maybe is doing a load balancing between different body update servers in the location. Second approach, let's imagine that you had deployed 11.08.230 to your standard workers, and your body master is delivering that firmware easily. But then you have your power workers who need the latest Citrix Workspace app client in 22.12, like an example. So you're delivering a private build. It's not possible in a standard body update view. And that's where the 2 features that I'm showing right now, the body update group ID and body server candidates, are hitting. The body update group ID means that you are setting this group ID on the body server that you would like to use, and on all other slaves on the same FTP registry paths. So if there is now the body group ID 0 or 2, it will be ignored if you set the 1 of the slave. And that's helping to keep a kind of load balancing between the different servers, because you can now say, let's put a group ID, which is called 1, and take 1 for 10 slave devices. And then you can maybe add another master, again with the body group ID 1, and so on and so on. So it makes a little bit of load balancing. And the body server candidates is a second part where you can say how many body update server candidates you will deliver. And that helps a lot for the load balancing. Now we'll just switch to a live part of the presentation. So I just have my virtual machine and the pager function. Most of your users might have dual screens, maybe 3 screens connected to your endpoint, which is great. But you have also maybe just users who have 1 display, like on a laptop, and are working from home or whatever. And yeah, you just have 1 desktop. And sometimes the desktop gets a little bit messed up by too many Chromium or custom partition or sessions that you are starting. One easy thing that I could share with you is to use a pager feature. Just keep that one in mind. You just have to check that box. If you want to add additional pages, I will explain that in a second. You can add additional ones, but 2 is usually enough. And now, as soon as you click apply, you're able to change your workspace. So you're changing from 1 virtual desktop to another, locally, so to say. So that's an easy one for making maybe also a debugging terminal open somewhere that the user should see in case of an issue. Put that on the second part of your pager screen and let the user work in their main workspace. And as soon as he has an issue, let's switch back to the second screen. Just an easy one. So let's come back to the presentation. And by the way, if you have questions, feel free to have an eye on the chat, but in case I'm missing something, you're definitely free to interrupt me in any second. Then we have the LVFS updates. I have to mention, no IGEL devices are not concerned by that procedure. And I don't expect it to change since we left the hardware business. Hard words, and doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but yeah, it's a strategic choose, so we can't change it. But for all other devices, you can check on fwupd.org which devices are supported. And if supported, you can use the BIOS tools, which we integrated 10.06, 10.07, I can't remember, to handle BIOS settings, but also BIOS updates. The settings at the moment, if I remember right, are not supported from the UMS perspective, but I have to double check. I didn't have a chance to go through the KB article, but the BIOS update itself is definitely part of your profile set. So just go to your KB article. But I had the situation today in the Azure community. So if you have an issue, you are still able to test the BIOS setting, rollout, whatever, locally. You just have to deploy the file to your endpoint by using a USB stick, or even better, using files inside of your UMS. But yeah, here you can also add some debug parts and understand where your command and where your profile is maybe failing because the file was deployed to the wrong place or was too big. I don't know. So in case you can deploy BIOS updates and BIOS settings to specific devices supported by the LVFS. Then the automatic Wi-Fi switch. I know it's an easy one because most of you are knowing that already, but yeah, that's how it looked like before. So I don't know if it was Sebastien or myself who created the first script, then Lars made it even better. Then community members made it even greater. Let's imagine that you're working over Wi-Fi and you're roaming in the in your office, and you're coming back to your desk and you're pulling in the network cable. Usually, in former times, both connections will stay opened. So your network on Ethernet and your network on Wi-Fi. By the script, and also applying to your 4G or 5G modem, it will turn down the Wi-Fi if the network is connected, or will turn off Wi-Fi, will turn off Ethernet if Wi-Fi is connected. In that case, you can use it now by using the checkbox, which is called Enable Wi-Fi Automatic Switch. Just enable that, should be enough already to make the feature arriving and functioning. And in case you want to change the behavior locally, you can just right-click the Wi-Fi symbol, go to Turn Wi-Fi On, Off, or Automatic. So you can force which kind of behavior you would like to have. Next one, UMS database optimization. I know most of you are knowing that we can do that on the embedded database. So if you open the IGEL UMS administrator, not the administration, the administrator, which is the rm-admin.exe or .sh on Linux, it's our configuration tool for the data source, for network ports, for UMS licensing ID, and so on and so on. And optimized database, if I remember right, is one, checking the database, but it's also recreating the indexes. So it's something that I'm not using on a daily basis, but I'm using quite regularly if I have the feeling that my UMS is going slow, whatever. We had that feature only for embedded database for 15 years. Now it's available since 6.10, 140, I guess, or 130. This optimized database button is also available for external SQL databases. So worth a try. If you have issues with devices not getting showed, or you get some delay in your UMS console, just open your UMS administrator on your UMS server or servers and start the optimized database. Then, just a small one, but I'm using it regularly on customer situations where I have to automate the UMS installation at least a bit, because as you know, the UMS installation for Windows as well as for Linux are not fully automated, are not able to get fully automated. But you have sometimes server like Windows server or Linux server headless, so where you have no desktop installed, where you have no GUI. And that's where this tool, UMS admin -CLI, will save your life, because obviously you can install on Linux, you can start an SSH session with an X redirection. No question, worked perfectly for years. But now with that command, which is available on Linux as well as on Windows, you can configure your database, you can create your database, you can change your ports, you can basically change whatever you see. I didn't see any kind of limitations, but you see in the UMS administrator GUI now from the command line. That's just an easy one also to restart the server. So if you have a tool like ControlUp, or if you have another monitoring solution and you want to restart specific things without having to restart the whole service, you can also restart the database and so on. So it's really in restart the server, sorry, without having to restart the whole service. That's something that I would definitely look at. Then I'm coming to the last slide before the end, the UMS network adapter. As soon as you are hitting actual EAGLE OS and IGEL UMS versions, in former times you couldn't see which interfaces are activated, which one are connected. And now you can just go to your UMS, go to your central asset view, and check if LAN or Wi-Fi or whatever connection is up or down, so you can better understand the issue of your customer if he is calling you and saying, hey, I have issues with my performance, and you see that the LAN is down, but Wi-Fi is on, and you know that the Wi-Fi connection in that area is extremely poor, might be a reason for performance issues. Was just a short walkthrough. So we have 5 minutes left for question. I'm just looking at Milan. You mean the optimization of MS SQL database? Yes. If you open the RM admin tool, you can go to data source, and from there you can also hit that button. But like I said, only on 6.10, 130 or 140. And if I'm honest, I would say 140, but I would have to double check. And that's no, for all the UMS, there is an SQL script somewhere to rebuild the indexes. I will check. If I find it, I will send it over to you as PM. Please use it with caution because I didn't use it for a long, long time. So I'm not sure if it's still accurate, but I will send it over to you. Maybe at least having an idea how to handle it. What version of UMS is required to see the network settings, Ethernet versus Wi-Fi? You mean the asset information of the device? Let me check if I find it easily. But that's an easy one. Let me go through the release notes, and if others have questions, just feel free to jump in. I'm just checking the release notes for now. But I guess it was in 2022. Honest words, Sean, I have to check. I will send you the DM afterwards. Okay, you don't have it in 609? Okay, then I will not say it's in 610 because it would be too easy, but let me check. New features in 6.10, might be 6.10. UMS common, admin clear, custom attributes. Yeah, it's obviously on 6.10. Added information about all available network adapters of a device. You need 11.07 as a least version to make it working. Just sent you the link in the chat. So guys, thank you very much for, there was a Q&A. We abandoned the buddy update because okay, I will just read it. So we abandoned the buddy update architecture because our hospitals has too many VLANs. Yeah, it was not very manageable. Any roadmaps that may help with those situations, like defining buddy client for a site, not by discovery. So keep my statement with caution, please. But what I would expect to work is, but I have to double check if it's still the case. If you make the automatic buddy detection, it's not working because the UDP broadcast will stay in the VLAN. So agreeing on 100%. But if you set the buddy master address in your buddy slave profile for updates under system firmware update, then choosing FTP, and then entering the on the address, the IP address of your master, even if it's not on the same VLAN, it should work. So obviously also add your authentication if you have one, etc. But that one will work. But the automatic detection, it's a good point. Might change on OS 12 since we are changing the whole update process. Cannot answer it directly, John, for OS 12, but I would definitely take it over to PM. Okay, we seems to be done with the question. Thank you very much for your attendance. I hope you had some great time with us and also some content that you can use on your daily business. I would say for some of you, let's say Disrupt. If you search me, I will be somewhere around the bar, mostly certainly, and at the IGEL booth and IGEL community booth. So see you there. Lino, looking forward to meet you there too, and have a great week.
Yeah, see you.
See you, bye-bye.